Denny Kelts again with Top Dog Elite Coaching. In this video, I'm going to go through the 5 pillars of leadership. At the end of the day, leadership is just a part of life. So watch the whole video and you guys can get a breakdown of what I mean by these 5 pillars of leadership, okay? So number 1, the first pillar is self-leadership, okay? If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead anybody else, right? So you got to worry about what's going on with how you're leading yourself in your daily habits, okay? Are you eating clean? Are you leading yourself to the gym? Are you leading yourself through any type of meditations? Are you doing any journaling? Are you writing positive affirmations? Are you leading yourself by being positive so that you can tell other people to be positive? So everything starts with self. When you start working on yourself first, everything else will slowly start to fall in place. So self-leadership starts with those habits, and it's the little things that you got to start doing. And when you start doing the little things, they start turning into the big things. So if you want to ever get into any type of leadership role, maybe you're working somewhere right now, you know, I do a lot of sales training videos, stuff like that. Maybe you're working at a car dealership or something like that. So if you want to get promoted, you want to move up to being maybe like a floor manager where we're here, where you have some more duties and you have more of a leadership role and you got to help the team and help the new people and stuff like that, then you have to lead yourself first, because right into the second one here is you got to lead by example. So if you're in a leadership role where you're trying to tell somebody how to do something, you have to be able to show them how to do it first. Right? So like even me, I'm a sales manager right now at the top Hyundai dealership in Western Canada. And when I tell people like, oh, you got to make this type of phone call and you got to do this, what I'll do is I'll pick up the phone and I'll make that call and I'll book that appointment. And I'll show them how it's done and I'll lead by example. Okay? So that's what real leadership is you have to lead by example. I can't be telling my guys all the time, hey, you got to be disciplined, you got to show up on time, and then I don't show up on time. And I'm not disciplined. I didn't go to the gym like I said I was gonna. And I didn't do all these things that I say I was gonna do, right? So you gotta lead by example at the end of the day, because people are watching you and seeing what you're doing. And if you're not doing the things that you're telling them to do, then they're like, man, how is this guy trying to tell me that I need to do all these things when he's not even doing it himself? How does that make sense? And then they start losing faith in you, right? So if you're in any type of leadership role, you have to lead by example. That's extremely important if you want people to actually not just follow you, but they want to be a part of your vision, whatever you're working towards, okay, as a leader. The third one here is you got to follow through on your word, exactly what I was just telling you guys, okay? So if there's some type of consequences or something like that, I'm like, hey, if you don't get this done, there is a consequence. I can't just leave it and not implement the consequence when I said that I was going to implement the consequence. You get what I'm saying? So you got to follow through with your word. When you say you're going to do something, when you say there's some type of a consequence, for instance, for somebody being late, something like that. Like over here, we used to do this. When you're late, every minute you're late, you have 10 extra push-ups that you need to do. So if you're 10 minutes late, you got to do 100 push-ups, right? So then all of a sudden people start showing up on time all the time because there's some type of consequence attached to the action that they're supposed to do. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then guess what? There's the consequence. So that's really a big thing, is following through with your word. It's a big pillar in any type of leadership role. And I mean, if you can start following through with your word with yourself, that's real leadership. That's when you're leading yourself to the kind of life that you actually want to have and you envision for your future. So that's what I mean. And also, especially when you're in sales, it's like if you can show your customer that you make good decisions and you can lead yourself in the right way, then they're going to trust your advice. When you're giving them a professional opinion, hey, I'm just giving you my professional opinion and my professional advice, they're actually going to want to believe you and they're going to want to follow through with what you're saying, because like, man, this guy looks like he makes good decisions. He looks like he takes care of himself. He's well groomed. He's in shape. He looks healthy. He looks vibrant. He's got energy, right? I want to be like this guy. And that's what you want. That's real leadership. You lead yourself and you're proud of yourself, right? Because you're following through with your word. What happens when you don't follow through with your word is that's when you start to lose confidence in yourself. And you can lose confidence in your customers too. If you don't follow through with your word, you say, hey, I'm going to call you tomorrow and I'll let you know what's going on with the financing. Then what happens? You don't call that person. And then they lose confidence in you. And then they lose confidence in the dealership. So you got to keep in mind, all these little things, they add up, right? And when you got to start following through with your word, if you say you're going to do something, you have to make sure you do it. It's a pillar of leadership, okay? Fourth one I put is humility. Doesn't matter what kind of position you get to, you're the general manager, you're the owner, it doesn't matter. We're all human beings at the end of the day. Everybody's connected. There is the oneness, there is unity, there is something that, like, just because somebody's on a different path and in a different, like at a different level at this point in their life compared to where you might be, it doesn't make a difference. They're still human beings. I treat my detailers just like how I treat the general manager. I talk to everybody with respect because that's real leadership. And you try to give everybody that same courtesy and that same respect because it's being humble. I'm not better than anybody else. I'm trying to be a better version of myself than the previous version. I need to recreate myself and become better every single day. And I'm not worried about judging and comparing myself to other people because I'm on my own path. And I know those people are on their own path. And that's part of being a real leader, is being humble and having humility and being okay with those kind of things. Okay? The last one that I put here is integrity. So you got to operate with integrity with everything that you do. Everything that you do, you need to operate with integrity, right? So if your salespeople are asking you questions or anything like that, you got to make sure that you operate with integrity all the time. I'm almost done, bro. Yeah. Operate with integrity through everything that you do so that people know that you operate with integrity, okay? And it's very important, especially if you're in a leadership role. People want to know that you actually have genuine and good intentions for them. And same thing with your customers. If your customers feel like you actually have good intentions for them, I promise you all those little objections that they're giving you, they're not even going to happen anymore. They're not even going to say them. They're going to overcome their own objections because a lot of times those are just complaints. They're not real objections. They're not the real reason. But if your customers feel like you actually have the right intentions, then what they're going to do is they're going to be honest with you. They're going to be truthful with you. Okay? Hopefully you guys got some values out of this from the 5 pillars of leadership. Do me a favor, hit like, hit a comment, and hit the subscribe button. Follow for more.